I'm Brett Pike, and this is Classical Learner Homeschooling. We are the Unschoolables. Today we are going to talk about introducing middle school and high school level learners to propaganda, and specifically the mechanisms of manipulation that institutions use to subvert basic human liberty. Yesterday we discussed introducing elementary level learners to propaganda, and the number one point that I like to stress with that is with elementary school level learners, students, we don't want to show them the horror of the world. So quick recap, the way we teach them about propaganda is we show them the mechanisms of propaganda. For example, you can show them a video clip with suspenseful music and ask them how they feel when they watch the clip. And of course, they'll say they were at the edge of the seat, they were nervous. Then we take the same video clip, we switch out the music, and instead of putting suspenseful music, maybe we put clown music. And we ask the children how the whole scene made them feel. And of course, they were no longer at the edge of their seat. They were probably laughing when they watched the clip, right? And children could understand when you show them those two examples, how the music altered the way they felt and their perception of the video that they watched, which of course was the same video with different music. Another example I gave was Operation Mockingbird and the Church Committee in the Cubs to Bears children's book series, a book series I wrote myself. Early in the book, the news roosters, who represent the corporate mainstream media in the universe that I created, report of a bike theft, and they show an up-close look at a bear stealing a bike. Well, as the book goes along, the children are red-berried, not red-pilled, because it's a children's book, but they are red-berried, and they are shown, don't mind my daughter, it's a casualty of homeschooling. They are red-berried, and later in the book, they are shown a wide-angle view of that same moment in time, and as it turns out, he wasn't a bike thief. That bear didn't steal a bike. He was actually rolling a bike to a bicycle repair shop. He was a bike returner. Children are taught the mechanism of manipulation, right? With the music, they're shown how music can be used to alter their perception. Well, with Operation Mockingbird and the Church Committee, they're taught how a partial truth can be used to create a fictitious narrative, or a narrative that is actually a lie. And when they see the full view of the bear returning the bike or bringing the bike to the bicycle repair shop, they can understand, okay, well, we were shown this partial picture and the news roosters were telling us that this is what the picture meant, and that was complete fabrication. The truth was something completely in the other direction. He wasn't a bike thief. He's a bike returner. Well, now your children understand the mechanisms of propaganda, the mechanisms of manipulation that they have to look out for throughout the course of their life. Well, as your children get into middle school, checking on my daughter, get into middle school and high school, you can start to introduce them to current events and things that are happening in the world. So using the news media as an example, as children get older, we want them to be able to identify what is fake news, what is not, who's telling me the truth, who is lying. Well, how do they figure that out? They have to study the mechanisms that are used to control institutions. See, it's one thing to tell them, hey, look, CNN's lying. Hey, look, Anderson Cooper, he's a shill. It is another thing to arm your children with the tools to identify manipulation, not just in the present moment, but later in life. Because as parents, we can't always be there, but we can prepare our children. We could make sure our children are strong so that they are able to recognize manipulation and protect themselves. So if I had a high school level learner, what I would do, I said, you want to learn about fake news? I want you to read the Congressional Church Committee report. And I forget what pages it is. It's like page 170 to 204 or something like that. It's a whole section on when the CIA gave billions of dollars adjusted for inflation worth of today's money to the corporate news media and to journalists to push government narratives. Well, when children read that, a primary document, so it's great to work with, they'll understand that money is used to leverage control over media narratives, and that the government actually has its hands, right? We're supposed to be freedom of the press. The press is the fourth estate, or the fifth estate, separate from the government. Well, in actuality, the government is very much intertwined with the corporate media. You could then give your children an assignment in which they are tasked with researching the parent companies, the parent corporations. They'll say, Dad, what's a parent corporation? Well, there's a conversation right there. Research the parent corporations of CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, ESPN, FX, and when they do that research, they'll find that 90% of corporate news media, of television stations, are actually controlled by 5 or 6 parent corporations, and that choice is an illusion, that very few people have control over the narratives being pushed by these organizations, which is why they all seem to push the same narrative. You could then have them do an assignment in which they track lobbying money and they look at the access that lobbyists have to corporate media and really the journalists. Many of the broadcasters that we see on Fox News and CNN and these organizations are actually paid lobbyists. So by looking at these various different aspects of the corporate news media, they begin to understand the levers of control, the mechanisms of control, and by understanding that, they'll always be able to identify future manipulation, whether it's from Fox News, whether it's from CNN, MSNBC, ABC, doesn't really matter, because they'll be able to track effectively where the funding is coming from and what the mechanisms of control are. And you can extrapolate this out. They can do this with the medical industry. They can do this with the banking industry. You take an industry, you name it. You teach your children how to track the money, how to understand where to find the levers of control, then they will be able to make informed decisions about how the world really operates. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and if you do have an elementary school level learner starting on January 6th, 2022, I will be teaching a Foundations of Propaganda course for elementary level learners. It's something I'm very excited about. I will also be delivering weekly lesson plans to members of Homeschools Connected, my private homeschool community, throughout all of 2022. Freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day, and I will be back tomorrow to earn it.